I just had to get out of that to preserve my life, really. It was it was a maximum security type prison. There just was no easy way out of it. Although, all the while, I knew I had put the bars there. I'd been constructing this thing from the time I was a child. And I think from a very early age, I had the notion that I was going to be a doctor. I had a very busy practice and had established a good reputation, and I was the responsible citizen type. At times, it seemed that I had succeeded too well, because I really had what it was I thought I wanted. I had a nice house in a nice place, and we were able to lead a very good life. And somehow it all began to pale. I felt I'd become a slave to that, a slave to the house, which demanded so much of my time and attention. The yard and the gardening and the lawn and the maintenance and all that sort of thing was just, got to be a terrible burden. I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't like what I saw happening to my children, for instance. I didn't like it when I'd hear them talking with their 10 and 12-year-old friends about what stocks they owned and what the market price was and how much money they had in the bank and kind of vacation they were going to have and the camp they were going to for the summer. All that sort of thing. It made me think that my kids would be better off if they didn't have all that. There were many times when I really felt that life as I had envisioned it had come to an end. There wasn't really anything more that was important for me. And I came to a point at which I decided that I had to get out of that to preserve my own sanity and myself as a person. So I made the decision to move to Monterey. I guess the thing that I enjoy most is getting far out, away from the cities and from people. Being near the ocean is a big part of it. There's something about the motion and the sound, the ruggedness of the rocky coastline, and the weather. Don't forget the weather. I used to hate and dread Wisconsin winters. And I didn't have any clear kind of picture of what it was I was going to in Monterey, except that I felt it would be a life in which there could be more for me. And I wasn't clear at all on how I was going to achieve that. But I just was determined that I was not going to get into the same kind of thing I had been in before. The striving to achieve and accomplish and to get things. I'd had enough of the things. I didn't want any more. The only job which I found within any reasonable kind of commuting distance was at Soledad prison as the chief psychiatrist. And within the prison, one of the things which I heard often from inmates was, they treat us like animals, so we behave like animals. And I would hear the other side of that from the staff people who would say, they behave like animals, so we treat them like animals. On the 19th of May, a program administrator was stabbed and killed by an inmate who had been under my care. So on the day following the murder, the superintendent's assistant requested that I give him the confidential psychiatric file on this man. And I refused to do so and explained to him my reasons. It would be illegal, that it would certainly be unethical, that would make it impossible to do any meaningful kind of psychotherapy anywhere within the prison system. They said, we'll then search your office and take it, and they did. So I was escorted out the gate, and that was the end of my stay at Soledad prison. Part of the thing which I felt in being discouraged with the previous life I had around the age of 40 was that it was really, it was unjust, and it was almost obscene for anybody to make as much money as I made, to live in a house which was, not extravagant, but $60,000, $70,000 when there was such misery and poverty throughout the world. And I've realized since I did leave that much of what kept me in all of that was my fear of being alone. Not just lonely, because I guess I've been that much of my life, but really being alone, like out on the edge of the cliff, and the next step is over. And it felt as though that was the way it was going to be if I made that decision and took the step. The toughest thing was to leave my children, and I miss them. There's a lot of guilt mixed up in it. I feel that in a way I sort of abandoned them, but there just didn't seem to be any way to maintain part of that life. For me, anyway, the comfort and security and all that went along with that American dream of yours were killing me as a person. And I just wasn't willing to be killed for that kind of price. I had to find something else.